Hello, extra time.
They point to the league not to get a hoy because it damages your reputation. It makes people, when they read it, just laugh at you.
The single club, they're playing in the League of Ireland, they're playing in the Europa League, and they're credit in the game in this country. Maybe we should get Stephen Kenny then to manage the Irish team.
Hello everyone, and you're very welcome to this week's edition of the ExtraTime.com podcast. It's Donal Ryan here in the hot seat this week, filling in for Luke Jordan, but an action-packed podcast we have for you this week. Jordan McEneff, the League of Ireland Premier Division's top scorer, and he swings by for a chat. He's currently joint top scorer in the Premier Division on 4 goals alongside Cork City's Rory Keating and Sligo Rovers' Max Mata. We'll also talk to Shelbourne's Megan Smith Lynch ahead of a top of the table clash in the Women's Premier Division, where Shelbourne welcome Shamrock Rovers to Tolka Park this coming Saturday, and of course it's live on TG Cahir as well. Kickoff there is at 2 o'clock, and we'll also have our weekly League of Ireland roundup, where myself and Aisling Hannon will be going through all the fixtures and results from the League of Ireland Premier Division, First Division, and of course the Women's Premier Division as well.
Get in touch. You can email us at extratimelive@gmail.com or tag us on Instagram using the hashtag League of Ireland, or tweet us at ExtraTimeNews.
Let's do it.
Derry City have had a fantastic start to the season, and that is thanks in no small part to Jordan McEneff, who's currently joint top scorer in the division with 4 goals to his name already. And we're delighted to have him joining us on the show this week. Jordan, thanks very much for joining us.
No bother, happy to be here.
And we were just chatting there off air, Jordan, and we were saying that it's been a fantastic start to the season for Derry City so far.
Well, we're still unbeaten, which is good. Obviously 2 draws. The first game of the season was a tough one down at Pats, and I think a lot of us felt like we probably could have got more on Friday, but look, it's an unbeaten run and we're still early in the season, so we're happy enough.
And obviously Sligo Rovers coming to the Brandywell this Friday as well. You'll be hoping to extend your unbeaten run there, I'd say.
Well, every game we go into, we want to win. And look, it's not going to be an easy game. Sligo's a good team and it's on RTE, so everyone will be up for it. So 3 points is definitely what we want, but we'll definitely give them a lot of respect on Friday.
I suppose you'll be looking to kind of make the Brandywell a bit of a fortress this year, Jordan. Like, a lot was kind of made at Derry's kind of home form last year, especially in the latter part of the season. It was kind of their home form that was letting them down in terms for challenging for the title. Like, you almost seem to play better when you played away.
Well, obviously, I think earlier on the season it was nearly the same before I joined, but it was something we spoke about in pre-season. Like, it's well and good going and getting results down in Dublin or wherever you're going, but if you're not winning at home, then it doesn't really matter. So I think it's something we want to definitely improve this year. And I think if the fans get behind us, the Brandywell is not a place that any team wants to come to. And I think we're good enough to get results there every time we play there.
And you fairly put down a marker there as well when you beat current champions Shamrock Rovers up in Tala a couple of weeks ago.
100%. Look, Rovers, they've been brilliant the last few years. They haven't probably had the start of the season that they wanted, but they go there and get a result. It's always massive. We probably didn't play as good as we probably could have, but the plan was to go and win, and we won the game.
You've had quite a career path so far, Jordan. Obviously, starting out at Arsenal. Was that how exactly did all that come about when, like, moving over to Arsenal as a youngster?
Well, it was actually I got scouted for Arsenal when I was playing for Spurs. I was on trial at Spurs when I was around, I think, 14. So I was playing a match. It was against Charlton, and then I think there must have been an Arsenal scout at the game. And I got invited over then on trial from that. And I think Stephen Bradley was actually one of the scouts at the time at Arsenal. I think he watched a few of the games when I played with the Northern Ireland setup, and just went on trial when I was 14 or 15 and kind of impressed, and just went from there.
And obviously your brother Aaron was playing with Spurs as well. Did you go over together?
Aaron was over there when I went on trial. So I think Aaron was in under 18 or under 21s. And I was over there about 6 or 7 times with Spurs, but he was still there, so it was good kind of to have him when I was over there on trial.
It must have been comforting as well having your brother over there, even though you did go over to the wrong side of London, we'll call it. I was as a Spurs fan myself.
Are you a Spurs fan?
I am, yeah, for my sins.
Sorry to hear that. No, it's definitely makes it feel a bit more like home. I was only going for weekends, or if we had like a midterm break, I would have went for a week. So I think I was there 6 or 7 times. So it definitely did help a bit.
And what was the whole Arsenal experience like? I mean, they've had lots of stars coming through their academy like for years upon years, and even when you see the likes of Bukayo Saka breaking into the team now as well, like would you have played with any of them boys, or who was in the team that you would have played with, or like what was the whole experience like?
I think once you leave, you kind of look back on it and realize how lucky you were a bit more than you probably did when you're in the academy and stuff. But no, it's unbelievable to be able to be around them type of players every day and get the chance to even go and train with the first team. I mean, everyone would dream of it, so it's an unbelievable opportunity. And obviously, if injuries didn't hamper it a bit, you never know what could have happened. But look, it's in the past. But it was definitely, I think it stood me in good stead going forward. Bukayo would have been the year below me, but he would have played with us the whole way through from under 15s the whole way through to whenever he broke into the first team. So I know him really well, and to be fair, he's an unbelievable player.
Absolutely, he's certainly having a stellar season in the Premier League this year as Arsenal are at top. But we'll focus more on domestic matters, I suppose. But would you be kind of angling, like obviously it's a big move for you to go back home and play for Derry City, but would you rule out a move to England or further afield in the future, or are you happy enough to kind of stay put where you are for the moment?
Well, I think at the minute, like the last few years have been tough, so it's just at the minute about getting into the team every week and doing well here at Derry. Because if you look at our squad, we've got a lot of players injured and a lot of quality players out injured. So it's about staying in the team and doing well. But I think in the future, obviously, I'm not going to put a time frame on it. It's obviously still something I want to do, go and play at the highest level possible.
And on returning to the League of Ireland, and you joined Shelbourne on loan initially. How was playing under Damien Duff like? Obviously, he has this kind of character that kind of comes across in the media, but I'd imagine the Damien Duff on the touchline and the Damien Duff in the dressing room are two completely different men.
I went there probably when I wasn't fully fit. I hadn't played football in kind of 18 months or whatever it was. And to be fair, he was brilliant. He brought me in, he eased me in the first few games of the season, kind of 30 minutes. And like the training and the detail that he went into him and Joey O'Brien and training and stuff was unbelievable. And the experience that both of them had playing the Premier League, it's obviously something you want to be working under every day. Unfortunately for me, I didn't perform as good as I probably know I can, but everyone in Shelbourne were brilliant for me, and to be fair, they had a good year last year, and I wish them luck for this year.
And when you'd probably say you didn't perform as well as you think you could, Jordan, was that probably down to injuries, do you think, or were there kind of other mitigating circumstances there as well?
I'm not the kind of person that likes to use excuses. It could have been anything, maybe a bit of confidence. I didn't have enough confidence, or whatever it was. I'm not too sure, but look, it's in the past. You can only learn from it.
It must have been frustrating though to kind of return home and trying to kickstart things again, and for it not to really pan out. But I'd say when Derry City came calling, it was a no-brainer for you to go home.
I've known the gaffer here for years. So when I spoke to him and he wanted to bring me in, I was buzzing at the opportunity. And I think the way Derry's going at the minute, the players they've got, it was a no-brainer. And obviously to be playing at home in front of your family and your friends, there's not much better, really.
It must be a massive confidence boost though to you as well when you see the kind of caliber of player that Derry City have been signing and that they've been linked with in the off season, and more than likely will be in the future as well. When you see like high profile players from around the League of Ireland, and for you to be drafted in as one of those, it must be a serious shot in the arm for you.
You're not that you're lucky, but it's good to be part of the group that we've got. We've got a lot of experience in the team as well as younger players coming through. So it's just about when you get your opportunity, like it did at the start of the season, it's going out and taking it, because at the end of the day, the manager wants players that's doing the job on the pitch. So that's our job. They just play as best as we can when we do and try to stay in the team.
And you're on your current form. You've picked it up where you left off last season, really scoring the final goal in the FAI Cup final just to put the gloss on the scoreline, a 4-0 win against Shelbourne as it happened. But obviously 4 goals this season. It's been a sensational start to the season.
100%. I think that goal at the end of the season, even though it was a penalty, it gives you a bit of confidence. Like you're going into games then at the start of the season, and the first game you get a goal, you're kind of going into every game thinking, oh, I could score. Whereas I think maybe last year towards the start of the season, the confidence was in there, and I didn't really trust myself as much as I probably do now. So I think football is a game it's massive on confidence, and confidence can do a lot of things for you.
And it must have been special as well, scoring a penalty down the same end in the cup final, the same goals that Aaron scored a penalty in as well when Shamrock Rovers last won it.
Well, I was at that match when Aaron scored the penalty, and they do. I didn't realise until after the game they do it in the same net. It's unbelievable, and they have my whole family there, like, and they're proud of you. Obviously, my ma's from Derry, my dad's from Dublin. He's a Rovers fan, but just to see them and my brother and my mates all buzzing for you after, and they obviously bring the trophy back to Derry. It was probably the best day I've had in my career so far.
And obviously yourselves and Aaron both playing football full time now. He's gone down to Australia. I know you have another brother as well, but obviously football was obviously a big thing in your house growing up.
I was massive. Look, when I was born and kind of grew up, all I knew was football because Aaron was playing it and Nathan, the middle brother, they were both playing. So even when I was too young to probably join a team, I would have been at Nathan's training, just asking to join in, or Aaron's training, even though he was a good few years older. So it was always about it. And my dad, he wasn't the kind of person to push you in to do it. So it was just something that we wanted to do. And I think I just grown up in it. You just stay in it and just loved it.
And just bringing it back to this season, Jordan, obviously Derry City making a charge for the title this year. Bow's top at the moment, I believe. But Rory Higgins is obviously assembling a good squad. Like, I'd say he's a good man to have around, like a man that knows Derry City, leaving the Republic of Ireland job to come back and manage Derry. He's obviously passionate about the project that he's undertaken there. And I'd say that, again, that just kind of fills the squad with a lot of confidence that they have a manager that's driving them and that believes in something and believes that Derry can go on to win loads of silverware in the future.
100%. I think there's no hiding behind it. That's what the club wants to do. They want to win trophies, they want to win leagues. So I don't think there's anyone better than the gaffer they have in. He's obviously had experience in the past playing, and when he was at Dundalk, obviously. And the game plan that he has going into every game, it couldn't be more clear. And just his detail, like even whether it's against an opposition or even just in training, it's unbelievable. So I think with him leading us out, we have a good chance.
And what exactly are Derry City's priorities for this season, Jordan? I know I'm probably expecting the old one game at a time answer here, but like, will they be are you kind of prioritising having a good run in the league, or maybe another crack at the cup, or maybe possibly when you see other teams, the likes of Sligo Rovers and Shamrock Rovers and St. Pat's last year, maybe a good run in Europe this year?
Well, I think you would have to be greedy and hope for all of them. We haven't sat down and said, this is what we want to do and we're going to prioritise anything. We haven't done that. I think the squad of players alone are the kind of, with the experience in the team, we go into every game expecting to win by ourselves. So I think if we do that and we win every game, I know it's not going to happen, but that's the way we go into every game. Who knows what will happen? Obviously, the have all freedom would be unbelievable, but we'll see at the end of the season.
And maybe something will have to give. Maybe we'll see. But when it comes to June and July, in the summer months, when Europe gets into full swing, but again in the off season, Derry added significantly. When you see the likes of Adam O'Reilly coming in, Ollie O'Neill as well, who's been called up to the Ireland under-21s today, Ben Doherty as well, who's come down from the Northern Ireland League. You know, it seems like on top of the experience that's there already with the likes of Michael Duffy, Patrick McElhaney, Jamie McGonigal, who knows where the goals are as well. You know, it seems like the squad is certainly gelling together very well, given that a significant amount of new faces came in.
100%. All the lads that come in, not only they're obviously good footballers and they want to work hard, but they're good lads as well, and they've fitted into the team really well, both on and off the pitch. So I think the gaffer's really good at that. He brings in good players, but he brings in good people as well. So I'd say even just being in the change room, it's probably the best change room I've been in, like in terms of all the players are really close and get on. So I think he brought in some good players, and it's only going to help us in the long run.
Do you think that that's key to a team having good success, though, like having good characters around the dressing room? As you said, it's probably been the best dressing room that you've been in your own words. So like, obviously that kind of comes across on the field as well when you're trying to set down your own kind of style of play.
think so. I think having the experience is massive as well. The likes of Fats and Mickey, Mark Conley, Shane McElhenney, they know what it's like and know what you need to do to go and win games. So if we are kind of out of line at any time, there's players there that will tell you, and at the same time, there's players that know certain players and how to deal with them, as well as the manager. So I think it's massive to have a group that you can kind of speak to each other and communicate well, and I think we have that.
Absolutely. Well, Jordan, we wish you the very best of luck for the rest of the season, and thanks very much for joining us on the Extra Time podcast this week.
No bother. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Get in touch. You can email us at extratimelive@gmail.com or tag us on Instagram using the hashtag League of Ireland or tweet us at Extra Time News.
Let's do it.
This is the extratime.com podcast, and in the Women's Premier Division, Shelbourne have had a flying start to the season. 2 games, 2 wins and 8 goals scored across those 2 games. Going into this weekend's round of fixtures, they welcome Shamrock Rovers to Talca Park in what promises to be an absolutely cracking tie. It'll be live on TG Caher as well, so of course do tune in if you get the chance. But now we're delighted to be joined by Shelbourne player Megan Smith Lynch. Megan, thanks very much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. It's nice to be asked.
No problem at all. And as I just said there, Megan, it's been an absolutely flying start to the league once again for Shelbourne this year.
Yeah, it's been a good start, obviously with the off season we had a lot of outgoings and a good few players that came into our squad, so it was kind of a fresh start for us, a lot of new faces, so we had a good pre-season. We were happy enough how it went, and then we had we had the President's Cup game. That was nice preparation to go into the league, and two good performances and results have started us up nicely, so we're happy enough where we're at so far.
And starts don't come much better than a 6-0 win on the opening day of the season. 2 goals for yourself in that win as well. You must be pleased with your own personal start to the season too.
Yeah, absolutely. On a personal note, it's nice to start the season, with a decent performance and getting the goals and being able to chip in the win is brilliant. But in terms of team itself, you look at the goals and there was a lot of good team goals in the performance. And I think the most important thing for ourselves is when we do score them goals that we keep a clean sheet as well. So credit to our defenders and our goalkeeper as well. So yeah, it was nice to contribute to the win on the day.
Yeah, and you are just touching on that as well. You are yet to concede in the league as well, which is almost impressive. It's almost as impressive as racking up 8 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably the most important thing. The way we look at it is we know the talent we have in our forward line and from our midfielders going forward. So we know the threat we can bring to the opposition. So it's important that if we do keep clean sheets, we're fully confident that we can go and get the win once we keep that clean sheet, because we do back ourselves in each game that we can score goals.
And we just touched on it there, of course, as well, Megan. A huge game this Saturday in Talca Park as the Women's Premier Division, the newest team in the division, Shamrock Rovers, make their way to Talca Park. I suppose the preparation for this one, I'd say it won't be too difficult to get up for a Dublin derby like this weekend.
No, you mentioned it there. It's a Dublin derby. We had a north side Dublin derby there last weekend. So this weekend's it's a north v south Dublin. So it's a nice one. And obviously TG Caher it's the first broadcast TG Caher first game this year. So it's exciting for us. These are new opposition, so it's completely new to us approaching this week. We don't know what to really expect from them. Yeah, we've watched a couple of games they've played this season and they have a good side, and there's no doubt that the calibre of players in the squad are of a really high standard. So it's not going to be in any way an easy game, but all we can do at the moment is just really focus on ourselves and, build momentum and hopefully get the 3 points again on Saturday and go from there. And
you'll be coming up against a couple of ex-teammates as well. Obviously, Shamrock Rovers cherry picking a couple of players from Shelbourne and of course from around the league as well. Amongst the players, has there been kind of much discussion about the way that they've kind of gone about their business, or do you just kind of see it as part of the game and that's it? Like if they're going to put significant offers on the table for certain players, they're just going to go and that's it? Or is it a bit kind of frustrating the way that they just kind of came in and, like I said, just kind of cherry picked the best players from around the league?
No, obviously the league's gone full time now, and obviously Shamrock Rovers, there's no question, they have a lot of attraction to the club, and they're obviously from the men's side, they're a well established club. So you knew that when they came into the league that they were going to attract big names, big players, and we completely understand at the end of the day, a lot of these are our friends, and they're always going to be our friends, and it's just the nature of the game now. It's a professional league, and we want the best for our friends and for the girls. And if the girls felt that was the right move for them, well, then we were happy enough for them. But thankfully, we were able to recruit really good players from our league. And obviously, Siobhan Clean came back. She left the GAA and came back to us, and then we brought really strong technical good players from America and Canada. So they've really boosted our squad, and all we can really do now is just focus on ourselves and what we have, and we're delighted with the squad we have now. So
yeah, as you said, and a lot of them chipping in with goals as well. Siobhan Colleen returning from the GAA, scoring against Cork there as well. Kayla Hammers coming in with 2 goals there too, and then Jessie Stapleton scoring twice against Bohemians last week as well. Like, no doubt Wild Shamrock Rovers have assembled a strong squad. You certainly have a lot of big hitters there too yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you just look at ourselves, you mentioned so many different goal scorers there from just 2 games. Jessie Stapleton is a huge threat from set pieces, which she showed on Saturday against Bohemians, and it was great for Siobhan to come back her first game back and return with a goal. And Kayla and Maggie who both came from America, both started the first game against Cork, and they've been really good players for us, good additions to us, just like the other couple of players that have come into the squad. So it was nice for them to start on a good footing, and for Kayla to get the goals she did, and obviously Maggie to contribute to the clean sheet, playing that back line. So yeah, it's a positive start for us. I'm sure more players want to score. Our team's full of big players and talented players, and everyone wants to score week in, week out. So hopefully there'll be more players to add to that list in the next couple of weeks.
Do you think you'll keep a 3rd successive clean sheet this coming Saturday?
We'd like to think so. We're always positive. We believe in the players we have, in not just the defenders and the goalkeeper, but the team that's put out on Saturday, and the game changers that do come onto the pitch, that we're well capable of keeping that clean sheet. There's no question the talent that Shamrock Rovers have, in terms of their attackers and what they can bring, and some of the goals they've scored already this season have been really good quality goals. So we're under no illusion that it's not going to be a difficult game. We know what they're going to bring to us, but we're up for the challenge. We want these big games. We want them every week. So yeah, as I said, we're up for it, and hopefully we can keep that clean sheet again and score a few more goals.
And I'm sure you're confident of 3 points as well as a clean sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously starting the season the way we did, 2 wins from 2, you're going to build that confidence. It's natural. And we've got good confidence going into this weekend, and hopefully it can continue for the duration of the season. It's another tough game for us. The way we're approaching it's just another game, and we want that challenge. We want to entertain the neutrals. We want to put on performance for our own fans and everyone watching. So hopefully we can do that.
Absolutely. And of course, we did say already the game will be live on TG Cahir, kicking off at 2:00. And TG Cahir getting back on board again, Megan. It's huge for the women's Premier Division. It's huge in terms of promoting the women's game in Ireland. And there certainly seems to be a significant amount more buzz, whether it's the addition of Shamrock Rovers to the league this year or just general interest really spiking on the whole. But like there's significant amount of kind of hype and buzz around the women's football this year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's fantastic that the games can be streamed on LOI TV and stuff, but it's nice to know that TG Cahir have come on board and broadcast the games on TV for people. They've been fantastic last year to us, and coming in, it just brings more spotlight to our game and more attraction to the league, and gives people an opportunity on the weekends to just sit down if they're just flicking through the TV and put on our match and see what see how the quality that's in our league and the standard of our league, and then hopefully from there we can start attracting more fans to the grounds to watch us live. But TG Cahir have been fantastic up to now. The streaming they've done, the amount of time and effort they've put into us has been fantastic, and we can't thank them enough for their efforts so far.
Yeah, it certainly is massive that TG Cahir will come on and broadcast these games live on television, but like even on social media, like we said it ourselves just before we started, you see it on Twitter and Instagram during the week and stuff, the buzz on social media as well. Surely that's something coming into big games like this at the weekend, that's something that players can really feed off as well during the week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to ignore, with the generation we live in, we all live on our phones and on social media, and the hype has been brilliant, but it's really important that we don't get too caught up in it. We just focus on the game of the weekend, and the task at hand is which is just going out and putting in a performance and getting the 3 points. So, it's fantastic that the hype around the game and all the games around the league and the amount of people involved and, chatting about the league, it just creates that attraction from around Europe, not just in Ireland. With the quality that's going on in the league and the way it's going and the growth and development in it. But it's important for ourselves just stay tunnel vision and just focus on our little group that we have going on, and just focus on, our aims and objectives on the weekend, which is to go out and just plan a performance and hopefully get another 3 points.
One game at a time, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of games this year. So I think it's difficult to not get carried, or it's important themselves, and because there's so many games this year, just take it one game at a time and go through the process. We have a process in mind, and we have a plan. There's a lot coming up for ourselves. There's a lot up for grabs in terms of competition. So it's important just take it one game at a time, and it's going to take a squad effort. I think that's the most important thing this year. We've over 20 players in our squad, and it's going to take each and every player. So it's important for everyone just to keep on the same track.
And Megan, you've been busy enough off the pitch as well, obviously taking up an interim manager role with the Republic of Ireland women's under-16s team as well. How has that been so far?
Yeah, it's been really good. Obviously, I'm honoured and privileged to get the opportunity to come in as the Ireland girls under-16s manager. Obviously, Tom Elms has gone in full-time with the women's senior team, and what a year for the women's senior team and women's football in Ireland. So we wish them the very best of luck, and it was fantastic for me to get this opportunity. And it's something I've always dreamed of. I didn't dream of it at this age, but it's something that just the opportunity came, and thankfully it went my way, and I got offered the role, and it's good up to now. We've camp next week, and we're preparing at the moment for a UEFA development tournament in April. So it'll be a fantastic opportunity for these young girls, because some of them are only 14 and 15 years old. This is their first year in an international environment. So, I'm just glad I can play a small part in these players' developments, and hopefully, in the next few years, it would be a massive honour for me if I could see in the next couple of years some of these girls in the women's senior squad competing for places for World Cups and European Championships that we hopefully qualify for, and know that I played that small part in their development to that.
And you're only in the role on an interim basis for the moment. Is it something that you'd like to maybe nail down on a more permanent basis? And also, is it difficult to kind of balance it while still playing at a high level as well?
Yeah, obviously, a coach has always been a passion of mine. The playing career is quite short. It's a short career, so you always have to have that plan of what do I do when I do finish playing. And I love football. It's 24/7 with myself in terms of my old role that I left since I got this head coach's role. So you always have to think of what can I do when I finish playing. So I started getting into the coaching quite early, and I think things just went from 0 to 100 in the last few years. Everything just kind of fell into place. So listen, as I said already, I'm quite young in this role, and it was something that I probably didn't expect an opportunity to come my way for another couple of years, and I'm thankful, and I'm gonna really enjoy it while I can, and just probably be proud of myself. It's not something that I say often that I'm proud of myself, but I probably can admit now that it's great opportunity, and that it is something that's brilliant for me. And whatever happens down the line, yeah, it is an interim role for now. You just don't know what's going to happen down the line. You'd like to see that the women's game in Ireland is going to explode even more after the World Cup, and other opportunities may come along. We just don't know, but it is something. It's always been an ambition of mine to head coach an international team, and hopefully I can continue that again, whether it's after this interim role or if it's in the future again. I'll always be ready for it. But in terms of the balance between Shells and the under-16s, I think I've been lucky enough up to now, because the under-16s program is a development program. It's not it's not competition based where you're trying to qualify for European Championships or anything. So the contact days have been, thankfully, they haven't clashed it with Shelbourne up to now, and Noel King has been brilliant to me, and he's so supportive of me if I do have to miss any training sessions, and the FEI have been very good to me as well. So yeah, I've been quite lucky up to now that it hasn't clashed too much, and hopefully I don't have to come to that ultimatum down the line.
Surely not. And you mentioned the Women's World Cup as well, and I just wanted to see what you thought about it, like the ripple effect of that. How big has that been when you see, obviously you're taking over at under 16 level, and you mentioned that there's girls in there that are only 14 and 15, but surely with the women qualifying, it's inspired so many younger girls to get involved at a higher level.
Yeah, you see the interviews the women seniors are doing, and they want to inspire the next generation, and they are. That's exactly what they're doing. They're like, these girls are role models now. Some of them in the camps are my friends, and you be talking to them sometimes, it's mental, and they're back in Ireland for a media day nearly every couple of weeks, and I just think it's just accelerated the attention they're getting, and I just think the women's game in Ireland, we really have to just jump on this bandwagon now. We've never qualified for a World Cup before. We need to make the most of it. Enjoy this process now. The next few months, it's going to be the most exciting couple of months for, I keep saying women's football, but football in Ireland, even the men's side of things have been so supportive of us. And, just make the most of it. Hopefully this is the first of many qualifications, not just the World Cups, the European Championships. We want to make it a consistent thing, and it's up to all the coaches around Ireland. It's up to the young players around Ireland to continue to grow and develop, so that we do have these top quality elite players, high potential players, that when it comes to reaching that international or senior standard, that we've a high caliber of players in full-time environments that are able to compete against these top world-class international oppositions and qualify for major tournaments.
Absolutely. But to bring it back to matters on the field, Megan, I'm sure obviously with Shelbourne winning the league and cup double last year, and obviously pipping Peamount United to the post there the year before to win the league, no doubt more domestic silverware is the priority for you this year.
Absolutely. At the start of each season, when we sit down, we say, what's the aim of the season? And it's, to win everything we're like participating and competing in. And we're unfortunate in the President's Cup. It was the first trophy up for grabs this season. Athlone, we started well in that game, and Athlone just came out in the second half a complete different team and deservedly won the game on the day. But, our biggest aim and our biggest task is, can we win that league? Because I think with the league, it's who can perform consistently throughout the season. Where the cups, the cups can go one way or another, and it's luck of a draw with the cup games. The league is really who has been the best team overall throughout the season, and plus if you win the league, you go to Champions League, and every player around the world wants to play in the Champions League against players and top class players all around Europe, and we have that to compete for this year. I'm not saying we want to win the Champions League. Of course, it's a dream of everyone's, and we have to be a bit realistic as well. And then we have the League Cup in the summer. What a great opportunity, an All Ireland League Cup with teams from the north coming in as well, and it's a great opportunity for ourselves to play in a competition against the northern teams and see where we're at and where they're at. So there's a lot of trophies up for grabs this year. We want to win them all.
So you reckon a treble could be on the cards then? So
absolutely, that's the aim. You have to aim high, and as I said, we want to win every trophy we're competing for. The FEI Cup and obviously the league last year, and we want to go one step further this year, and hopefully we can win that League Cup as well.
Well, you've certainly put a marker down there. Megan Smith Lynch, thanks very much for joining us on the extratime.com podcast this week.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Donald. Cheers.
Get in touch. You can email us at extratimelive@gmail.com or tag us on Instagram using the hashtag League of Ireland, or tweet us at extratimenews.
Let's do it.
You're very welcome back to the extratime.com podcast with myself, Donal Ryan, and Aisling Hannon has joined us. Aisling, how are you?
Hi, Donald. Good. How are you?
Not so bad. A mixed week for Wexford youths.
Yes. So a point on the road. Actually, to be honest, I'm quite happy with that as a Wexford fan, because Harps away is never easy. It's a long journey. Went there once myself, I remember years ago, and it took 9 hours. There was a bit of traffic on the road there, so that was a tough journey. So it's always a tricky one for us. But yeah, like, to be honest, I'm happy with it because we haven't had the best of starts. Obviously, there was such a big change to our squad over the winter. Obviously, with Ian Ryan going to Bray, and he was bringing a lot of the squad with him as well. We lost a lot of players there, so we retained maybe 3-4 players in the squad. So we had to just build that back up again. So obviously, it's hard to gel straight away. Losing to Cove, early days, losing to Waterford as well, heavy defeat in the first game, 3-0. So that set us back a bit. But to be honest, look, we've Kerry on Friday evening. We're currently on 4 points. Kerry have won after that draw with Treaty. I feel like Billy Dennehy will be hoping to snatch something out of that long journey to Wexford. 6 o'clock kickoff actually on Friday. So yeah, look, it'll be a challenge, but I think Wexford will just about get the 3 points out of that. Yeah, we seem to have found our stride, like beating that Lone Tree 0 the week previous. 2 clean sheets now for Charlie Heffernan in goal. So the likes of like Aaron Robinson, Aaron Dobbs, Ethan Boyle, all looking promising. So yeah, it's interesting time for Wexford.
I suppose while we're on the topic of the first division, we might as well stay on it. And as you said, Aisling, Kerry FC making the trip to Ferrycarrig this weekend. They were on the wrong end of a 9-1 scoreline there against Galway United there, who are flying high at the top of the first division. But I suppose when a new club like Kerry FC is starting out, they're going to have days like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same like with Wexford, because again, as I was saying, like it's basically a whole new squad, and it's the same with Kerry. So you're waiting for them to gel, you're waiting for them to just get their stride. But yeah, obviously that was a heavy one for Kerry, but I don't think they'll be taking it lightly. I mean, they'll be coming to Ferrycarrig now Friday evening, absolutely hoping for something out of it, because they've been probably looking at Wexford's shaky start to the season, and they've been thinking, okay, well, maybe this is somewhere that we could get something out of it. But yeah, definitely a heavy 9-1 defeat is never easy. But look, we'll see what they can produce Friday night.
Absolutely. And of course, it was Galway that put 9 goals past them. A fantastic start to the season by Galway United so far, flying high at the top. And no doubt they'll have hopes of promotion this year too, having failed on a couple of previous attempts now to get out of the first division.
Yeah, and I feel like it's Waterford that everyone's talking about, but Galway could be like the red herring there, because with Waterford, like, yes, they had a brilliant opening game against Wexford, winning 3-0. But then they kind of started to shake a little bit. Obviously, they dropped a few points. They're only, I think, now on 4 points. So actually, Waterford are playing Bray this Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. So Bray are actually a point ahead of Waterford. So yeah, they drew with Longford, lost to Galway. So yeah, it's, without Phoenix Patterson, I think that's a massive loss. I know they have a really strong squad, but I think without Phoenix kind of like running that play and being that important person on set pieces, it really does make a difference. And yeah, I think it could be Galway who might chase now with Waterford. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And do you think Waterford fans, Aisling, will be disappointed with how their season has panned out so far, sitting 4th in the table, albeit only after 4 games, but 7 points from those 4 games, 2 wins, a draw and a loss? You know, I think fans would have been expecting a little bit more from them, given the firepower that they brought in the off-season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Waterford fans always have high expectations of their club, because there's money there. Obviously you have Jonathan Walters now on the panel. They did like pre-season out in Dubai. There's a lot put into, like, there's a lot of effort put into getting everything right at Waterford, and I think they were so close to getting promoted last season, that they feel like this needs to be their season now. They need to go up to the Premier League. Yeah, obviously it's always good for them to beat Wexford, which they did in the first of their fixtures. But I just think that it, like, obviously drawn with Longford, losing to Galway, that just wasn't in the plan. So yeah, I definitely feel like Waterford will be trying to build up that confidence again in the next few games.
And it's a tight game. In Waterford's next game, they host Bray Wanderers, who are a point ahead of them in third place in the first division on 8 points. And a pretty satisfactory start to the season for Bray Wanderers, again following what was a quite mediocre to disappointing season for them last year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now Bray could be really good this season. Obviously, they drew 0-0 with Longford last week. And yeah, they're third in the league, a point ahead of Watford now, who they play on Saturday. So they'll be going into it confident because they beat Shamrock Rovers in the Leinster Cup on Monday. So they're into the semis there. Rovers had a lot of teenagers out on the pitch there, but I think all credit to Bray coming in and getting a win out of that, a 2-1 win. So yeah, Bray are looking solid under Ian Ryan. Obviously, Ian had the squad very well gelled together. I think that's why Wexford did so well in last season, particularly in the second half. I just think the squad gelled really well together, and a lot of the lads had played with each other before joining up with Wexford in different circles. So you could really see that on the pitch. And then obviously when Ian left, he took a lot of the squad with him. Some players like Connor Davies, he scored there on Monday from the penalty spot. Connor Crowley was brilliant for us last season. Like, he just runs at midfield and he's really good on the set piece as well. Yeah, Luka Lovic, just a lot of players that Wexford will miss, but Bray definitely will be delighted to have. So be interested to see how they get on against Waterford at the weekend.
No doubt it is a huge scalp for Bray. You can say Shamrock Rovers had their B team out or whatever, but still to beat them, beat a team in a division above you in a cup competition, as Wexford FC did Sligo Rovers last year as well. Still pretty painful, that one, but anyway, we'll get on to that. And ahead of Bray in the table on 10 points is Cove Ramblers, who have had a flying start to the season as well, sitting on second on 10 points. They play Galway United this weekend in a top of the table clash. It promises to be an excellent fixture, Aisling.
Yeah, Cove have been looking really good. They bet Treaty at the weekend there, 3-0 away from home. Jack Doherty got a couple of goals there. Jack Doherty is, like, I was seeing him obviously as a Wexford fan a lot. He was injured a lot last season, but he was still one of our most prolific players. So losing him, it was huge for Wexford. But a huge game for Cove. I seen him play against Wexford there a couple of weeks ago when they bet us 2-1, and he just ran the show. Like, he was so quick, just like making the defenders dizzy. Like, he just dances in around them. He's so good on the ball, and there's a goal in him, and he's fantastic on a set piece. So yeah, that's a huge advantage for Cove, and it'll be interesting now against Galway at the weekend, see how they fare out together.
The remaining two fixtures then on St. Patrick's Day, Athlone Town host Treaty United, and on Saturday then Longford Town welcome Finn Harps to Bishopsgate. And again, Aisling, I suppose two more fixtures that'll have a lot riding on them, with these teams kind of sitting in around the middle of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll all be trying to push up the table now. I know it's only early days, but they'll be trying now to get as much as they can out of these fixtures. And it's fixtures like these at the start of the season that they'll be looking back on at the end of it and being like, well, we should have got something out of that, or we should have performed better there. But yeah, it'll be interesting now in the middle of the field how they all get on.
It surely will. And moving on to the Premier Division now, we've had a full round of games to come this weekend. And of course, last week's results were Shelbourne FC 0, Shamrock Rovers 0, Derry City 0, Dundalk 0, UCD 0, Drogheda United 1, St. Patrick's Athletic 0, Bohemians 2, And then on Saturday, Sligo Rovers 2, Cork City 2. I'm not sure if you saw any of the Premier Division action there last weekend, Aisling, but I'll start with my own Sligo Rovers. Lucky to get a point, in my opinion, against Cork, who didn't really offer too much on the night. I thought fell into a lead from a set piece there. Jonas Hakkinen heading in the first half, and then a quality strike from Rory Keating, who's joint top scorer in the Premier Division alongside Jordan McEneff of Derry City and Max Mata of Sligo Rovers on 4 goals. Just found himself in a bit of space on a counter attack, turned and hit a beautiful strike into the bottom corner, cracked it in off the post from about 20 yards. Sligo Rovers did fight back though, a goal from Éa Clancy on 79 minutes, and then Max Mata burying a contentious enough penalty, I must say, into the bottom left corner to give Sligo Rovers a point there right at the death. So it was an entertaining game, but to be honest, from a fan's point of view, I'm not sure if too many of them were happy coming away from the showgrounds with just a point. Cork seemed more than happy just to sit back. Once they took the lead, it was very much a park the bus job and hit Rovers on the counter when they got the chance. And but like I said, Rovers fans will be happy that they just didn't lose.
Yeah, fair play. And I see Shelbourne 0, Rovers 0. That was Rovers haven't been too efficient this season. Yeah, I know it's only early days, but I also think it's a big loss for them with Ronan Finn injured. Now I know Ronan Finn is like mid-30s now, but he is an absolute machine. I've seen him play over the years. I have to say he's probably my favourite player of all time in the League of Ireland. He's just so interesting to watch, and that he just completely runs the show, and like he's so versatile. He could be anywhere on the pitch and he would do a good job. He's been around, he's played in Europe. It's probably one of the most surprising things that he hasn't got an Ireland cap. I think he's just fantastic, and he's really a big loss now that he's injured. But yeah, and then obviously Rovers losing out on the Leinster Senior Cup there to Bray, as we were speaking about. So it's an interesting time at Rovers, definitely.
Certainly is, Aisling, yeah, especially when they haven't won a league game yet this season. But it was Ronan Finn, a bit of a left field call for your favourite ever player there in the League of Ireland, I think.
Yeah, Wexford fans won't be happy with that. There's been plenty of legends down in Wexford, but yeah.
Well, it was one of Ronan Finn's former clubs, Dundalk, that held Derry City to a scoreless draw in the Brandywell. Two clubs actually that have had a fine start to the season. Derry obviously in second place on 11 points, and Dundalk just behind them in third on 8 after 5 games. Now I didn't think myself Dundalk would be up to too much this season, given that they left their transfer activity kind of late in the day. But it looks like who they have brought in has been quality. Look at the likes of Ryan Tulloch from West Brom, to name one player. But again, a lot being made of Derry City's title charge, and we spoke to Jordan McEneff earlier on this podcast, and he reckons that, as of course they all say, one game at a time. But make no mistake about it, Derry City will certainly have their eyes on some silverware again this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, again, it's early days, but they're definitely chasing and they look good. And yeah, obviously Dundalk on 8 points now, Derry on 11. It's tight at the top of the table already. You're looking down, you're seeing Rovers there on 4, Pats there on 4 as well. So it's kind of I know, it's hard to say at this time of the season. There's a long way to go. But you'd be expecting definitely Rovers and Pats to be at least in the top 5, and Cork actually playing okay at the moment in the Premier Division, obviously going up there after winning the First Division last season. Really, really strong looking midfield there. Yeah, so not sure what we could say about Derry there, but definitely that they'd be in a title shout for sure.
Just to touch on Cork there, as you mentioned, Aisling, they did, of course, win the First Division at a canter last year. And although they didn't play the best football, I thought, in the showgrounds, they certainly don't look out of place in the Premier Division following their promotion last year. But you also mentioned St. Patrick's Athletic. They're certainly a team not in good form at the moment, as our regular host, Luke Jordan, he'll know all about that one. And big St. Pat's fan is Luke. But a 2-0 loss to Bohemians in Richmond Park. Dean Williams and Jonathan Afolabi getting the goals for Bohs there. And while St. Pat's haven't had the best of starts to the season, Aisling, Bohemians are flying up at the top of the table.
Bohemians absolutely smashing it. Yeah, the last 5 games they have 4 wins, 1 loss. Huge, only 5 goals in the goal difference there, so it looks pretty good for Bows. That it's strange looking at the league and seeing Bows on top there and Rovers in 8th. So, yeah, we'll see how that pans out in the next few months. But yeah, if Bows can keep that momentum going, absolutely they can. It'll be tight at the top, I think.
And finally, just the last game to touch on from last weekend was UCD 0, Drogheda United 1. Drogheda, I think, the surprise package for a lot of people in the Premier Division so far this year.
Yeah, I think so. And UCD, I don't think it's that surprising how we see UCD at the moment. They're at the bottom, only 1 point picked up in that draw. But Drogheda holding strong there in 5th, racking up 8 points there, a couple of wins under their belt so far. And their goal difference looks quite good actually. So yeah, they are a bit of a surprise package, and other fans in the league would probably be looking and saying, how can we go on the attack against Drogheda, because they're up in 5th now, and you're thinking, will that last or will they run out of steam? It's hard to know.
Certainly is very hard to know, and I've said it on this podcast already. I haven't seen Drogheda beat Sligo Rovers in Weavers Park, as it's now called. It's going to be a tough place for a lot of teams to go this year, and to be honest, they're fully deserving of their place in 5th, joint on 8 points with Sligo Rovers in 4th, just behind them on goal difference. And like I said, they've recruited very well in the off-season. Freddie Draper, who they got in on loan from Lincoln, he's an absolute handful. Manuel Adebayoga as well, very impressive, sitting in the heart of their back 3. So no doubt they're going to cause a lot of teams a lot of problems this year. And of course, UCD down there at the bottom of the table with just 1 point that they took off Dundalk in the opening day of the season following a 1-1 draw. But it's been 4 losses in a row for the students since. And to be honest, like you said there, Aisling, it's not the future not looking too bright for UCD at the moment.
Not at the moment, no. Rock bottom of the table there. A lot of defeats there already, 4 and then a draw, so it's not looking too promising, and they have quite a poor goal difference as well. Only 3 goals scored and 13 scored against them, so it's not looking good for UCD at the minute, but anything can happen.
Anything can happen, as UCD themselves have proven time and time again. And just to look ahead to this weekend's fixtures, we're recording here on Wednesday night, so on Thursday it's Drogheda United hosting Dundalk in the Louth Derby, and then a full round of games in the Premier Division on St Patrick's Day of Cork City hosting Shelbourne, Shamrock Rovers and St Patrick's Athletic. That is a huge game heading into this international break. Bohemians host UCD, and it's Derry City versus Sligo Rovers, and that is going to be live on RTE. So of course, if you're not at anything on Paddy's Day, do tune in to see Derry City hosting Sligo Rovers. And now just a quick look at the Women's National League, and just looking at last week's results: Bohemians 0, Shelbourne 2, Peamount United 1, DLR Waves 0, Cork City 0, Galway United 1, Shamrock Rovers 6, Treaty United 0, and Wexford Youths 3, Sligo Rovers 1. I suppose we better start there, Aisling, given as we have a Wexford fan and a Sligo fan on the pod at the moment. A good win for Wexford with Rihanna Jarrett, Michaela Lawrence and Emily Corbett getting on the score sheet there. Sarah Kiernan getting one back for Sligo Rovers from about 40 odd yards. Spectacular strike. Do check it out if you haven't seen it. But Wexford looking full value for the win there, Aisling.
Yeah, absolutely. A good 3-1 win there for the youths out in Ferry Carrig. Yeah, I feel like they worked really comfortably. Worked the ball forward really well from the back, feeding the ball wide. They look like they're gelling together now really well. Obviously I feel like the last maybe season they didn't pick up any silverware there, and it was a really tight contest in the league. Obviously losing out there for the title on the last day and getting knocked out of the cup semi by Athlone. So it was tough to take. Obviously getting Ellen Malloy injured as well, really it was really tough for them. But yeah, I think the game was a good game on Saturday there. Sligo levelled, and there was sort of a bit bit of panic from Wexford, I think, about 20 minutes of full panic, but then they kind of settled back in. Michaela Lawrence was fantastic in the first half. Obviously, she got a goal, but I feel like she got a little bit lost in the Sligo defence maybe in the second, but still a really good performance from her. And obviously, Emily Corbett getting a goal as well. Looked really good on the ball, maybe a little bit nervous still. Obviously, she's only brand new to the side coming in from Athlone, so you could see she was making some decisions that weren't really, they were a little bit fearful maybe, but she'll get back into her stride soon, I'm sure. And obviously it was the same starting 11 that beat Galway in that first fixture on the road for the youths, got all 3 points there. So I think that helped as well. I think it helps when they keep the same 11 so they can gel really well together. The back three look quite solid. Maeve Russell there was standout for me. So yeah, just Emily Corbett, Rihanna Jarrett, as you mentioned, is back in the squad, and with them through the middle, I feel like there's no real weakness in the side this season. A lot of transfer business there in the winter. But yeah, Sligo were up against it, I feel, and yeah, the youths face Cork. They actually have a bye this week, but next Saturday, Cork, who don't actually have a point yet, so that should be an interesting fixture. But yeah, that was Wexford looking good, I think.
And speaking from a Sligo Rovers perspective as well, I don't think Steve Feeney could have asked for 3 tougher games to start the season, hosting Shamrock Rovers in the first game in the showgrounds, obviously away to Wexford. That's a long spin down from Sligo, and Peamount United coming to the showgrounds this Saturday as well. 3 tough games to open the season, and in a season that's kind of short, Aisling, as well, it's important that teams start getting points on the board fairly quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, like Wexford, it showed for us at the end of last season. Obviously, there was that massive title run in the last, it all came down to the last game, and you're thinking, well, if we had have maybe got some point, we missed out on some points early on in the campaign that could have made a massive difference the end of the season, and we wouldn't have been in that situation. So yeah, definitely it's a tough league, especially with cups thrown in there as well. And obviously World Cup now will be coming up in the summer, so there's a lot of fixtures on the board there for them. It'll be tough for them this year, definitely.
There certainly is one standout tie as well in the women's Premier Division this weekend, and that's Shamrock Rovers versus Shelbourne. Both teams sitting on top of the table on 6 points each. After 2 wins from 2, Shamrock Rovers starting very well, I should say. As I said, beating Sligo Rovers right at the death in their opening game in the showgrounds, and then a comprehensive 6-0 win against Treaty United in Tala Stadium there last Saturday. Jamie Thompson grabbing a hat-trick for the Hoops as well. And it looks like they've settled into life in the Women's Premier Division, Aisling, very, very well indeed.
Very well indeed, yeah. I had came on this podcast last month and had written them off completely. So I'm eating my words now. They look really solid, and it's kind of frightful for the rest of the league, to be honest. I was kind of backing either Wexford, maybe Athlone, to be that standout team this season, but Rovers are looking really strong, and I think a Jamie Thompson hat-trick is definitely a confidence boost. And as well as that, there was 800 in the crowd at Tala, and I think it just shows that women's football is just really on the up, and such a strong crowd out in Tala. Hopefully we'll see that in other grounds as well, but it definitely gives the team a good confidence boost as well. So yeah, really, really strong 6-0 win there for Rovers. Absolutely,
and it was Shelbourne who got 6 as well on the opening day of the season. They also beat Bohemians 2-0 there in the last round of fixtures. They welcome Shamrock Rovers to Tolka Park this coming Saturday. And of course, it's live on TG Cahir as well. So again, we encourage people to tune in there as well if they can't make it to the game. But again, Shelbourne, the current champions, Aisling, they'll be looking to no doubt retain their title as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's such a tough league to predict. I was saying there, Rovers being that surprise package there, and that they're really starting the league strongly, but I thought it definitely would have been between Wexford and Athlone for the kind of the real standout teams this season, but Shells are definitely looking that way too, and they'll want to retain that title that they won. They won in Ferry Carrig last season. So yeah, it'll definitely be a tough run in for all teams involved, I think, this year.
And you mentioned Athlone there as well, Aisling. They've only played one game, having to sit out last year, losing their opening game of the season. They're currently down in 8th in the table out of 11 with no points. I think it's hard to say when they've just played one game, and given the nature of the league now this year with 11 teams in it, it's going to be kind of hard. Like, there'll be stop-start periods for all teams, I suppose. But I think a lot of people would have expected a little bit more from Athlone, given that they ran so close in the league and the cup last year as well.
Yeah, I think so, but I think losing Emily Corbett was huge for them. I think even just she scored. She's just she got 20 league goals last season, Player of the Year, as well. So I think it was just a massive thing for them to lose her. Obviously, Jessica Hennessy, one of the best defenders in the league, she went to Rovers. Milhis O'Kane as well went to Rovers. So losing those really strong 3 players, I think, makes a difference. And as you said, they've only played one game, but you would think that maybe that could be something that they will be thinking about for the season, about those players that they didn't sign.
And finally, Cork City 0, Galway United 1. The last game to look at there from last week. Cork still on 0 points. They're down in 10th on goal difference. Galway with 3 points after that win, obviously losing their first game of the season, but picking up a valuable win on the road in Cork.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Wexford playing Cork now at the weekend. It's 2 weeks now because they've a bye this weekend. So yeah, Cork will be looking to get something out of that, but I'm not sure because they're not looking as strong this season as we would have expected. So yeah, it'll be interesting times for Cork, see how they get on this season.
Certainly struggled last year as well, and they'll be looking to improve on that. Just to look ahead to the Women's Premier Division fixtures this coming Saturday on the 18th of March at 2 o'clock, Galway United host Bohemians. At the same time, Shelbourne and Shamrock Rovers is live on TG Cahir. At 4 o'clock, it's Steelor Waves and Cork City. And then 2 games at 5 o'clock, Treaty United versus Athlone Town, and Sligo Rovers welcome Peamount United to the showgrounds. Well, that's just about our lot for the extratime.com podcast this week. A big thanks to all our guests, Jordan McEneff and Megan Smith Lynch of Shelbourne. And thanks very much to you, Aisling Hannon, for joining us for our roundup there at the end of the podcast this week.